sure that the
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Um, you're welcome to my feed. This is Bamishai Victor. Oh, okay. He's saying I should tag you. I guess Facebook already recognizes your face.
it's good to be
Okay,
popular.
yeah. No, I think they started a facial recognition software. Yeah, that intimates you of your presence on any post. All right, so let's welcome those who are joining us. We have Nayo Eze, Louis Morningstar, Noah Folari, Herbert Agudosi. You're welcome.
Yeah, so good to see you, Olufunke Olubukola. Nice seeing you. Tito Izeka Akintunde, you're welcome. Boy Vincent, so good to have you on this Bamisha is feed anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm just a guest.
No. You're not too much of a guest.
You're welcome. So good to see you. Now you're welcome. Yeah, I'm the first person now. Yeah.
Oh, now you're Eze. No. It says he's the first person. And thank you for sharing. I can see you shared. So as you're coming in, thank you so much. We'd like you to please share. Oh, she said, someone is saying no sound. No sound. Is that true? Please help us comment. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Please confirm if you can hear us.
Okay, I think there's sound actually, so people can hear us.
Julie, it's good to see you.
Kehinde Muraina, you're welcome. Felix Akpo Fere Okoro, welcome. You can't hear us clearly.
I can. It says that you can hear clearly. Actually.
Oh, you can hear clearly. Oh, great,
Yeah.
great. Ade Shida Kuban Thompson, thank you for joining us. Please, as you're joining, we'd like you to share. Today we are going to have a very interesting conversation. I'm sure you've been seeing some of the things we do on Facebook and beyond, and a lot of people, we get the sticks for that sometimes. Sometimes we are the best people in town.
That's become part of the job.
But today we want to have a very interesting conversation. I'm sure you've seen the title, Damaged by Religion.
Yeah.
And how religion has damaged.
How religion damages nations. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, a very interesting conversation is going to be. So, as you're coming in, please know that you're welcome. Chisinoos Ochuku, thank you so much for joining. Julian Goya, thank you for joining. Faith Abodori, Alice Okoli, quite a lot of people are joining in today.
It's interesting.
Oh, I
guess such a short notice, I guess.
Such a short notice. Okay. Maybe because you are a short guy. So when I hear short, I'm thinking of you straight away. So he's not so tall. So any notice you get from him will definitely be short.
I guess I leave people to judge that. I don't think you are still within the camera frame.
No, that's because I'm humble enough to be.
If you are really as tall as you think, it should be.
Okay, it would have been something like this. All right, so yes. Please, as you're coming in, we know that you're welcome. Sunday Oyeniyi, you're welcome. And this is my first broadcast of the year, so I think a happy new year is in order.
Yeah.
A very happy new year to you guys. 2018, the only difference is the calendar.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the person may still be the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
the mindset especially.
Yeah, if the mindset is the same, then I don't see any reason why we should wish ourselves happy new year. But well, for the sake of culture and tradition.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
But it means nothing absolutely the same old mindset. So, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, guys. Yesterday I couldn't come on live. I promised to do a series on religion.
Okay.
Why Nigeria must stand up against our religious leader. Okay. The role of religion in nation building. I couldn't do that yesterday because currently there's a training going on.
Yeah.
That was on Wednesday, rather, sorry. We couldn't do that because there was a training going on at the same time. So we are going to resume next week, and it's really going to be interesting. But just as we're having a discussion, and I have been aware of Dr. Success's program for a while now. So he's come up with a project that he's been into a lot of research, a lot of studies, a lot of reports. and is compiling a very big project, and that project is called
Damaged by Religion.
Yeah, Damaged by Religion. I'm sure you see quite a lot of things going on in our environment and around you. Maybe some have happened to you, maybe you've seen some happen to people, maybe you've heard of things that have happened to other people. But we can clearly say a lot of things have been damaged by religion. So I would like to have some discussion with Dr. Success about that.
Okay.
Why did you come up with the phrase "damaged by religion"? What informed that?
Thank you so much. Actually, the phrase was circumstantial, so to speak. Let me put it that way. And I think specifically, sometimes in 2016, I was doing certain studying, so I stumbled on certain things by, just based on religion and things like that. I've actually been suspicious of religion all my life, so to speak. I think the breakthrough came for me definitely when I came for the first History Makers training, which I came for with Dr. Sunday Adelaja in 2014. That was when I knew the weight of what religion had done to me. Basically, I'm a Yoruba guy. You must have seen that from my accent, from Nigeria, from the western part of Nigeria. I'm proudly Yoruba, And so many good things about the cultures. I was born into Christianity, raised a Christian. So many good things about Christianity. Of course, we'll see that too today. But the combination of the two, I wouldn't say was good for me as an individual, because religion had done so much damage to my mindset. It had done so much damage to my worldview, my perspectives on life, and so many things. But, the way religion works, which, of course, some of those things we also see today, is very subtle. A lot of damage that is being done by religion, you don't know. Sometimes you need an external eye to help you see. And that was basically what Dr. Sunday Adelaja was able to do for me from that training. He was able to help me see that, look, there was a lot of potential inside of me, but so much damage had been done to it, so much restriction basically by religion. So I began to really, really work on myself from that time. I was so determined that my life was not just going to go to waste. I was going to lay off whatever thing was holding me back, and I was just going to launch on all the potentials given to me by God. So I began from that time, some kind of studying. So 2016, I began really studying on religion, really on the depth of it and all of that. So there was a training in 2016 specifically, and that was in 2017. I'd been studying from 2016. So in 2017, a discussion came up in one of our History Makers training, which we do regularly in Kyiv, in Dr. Sunday's house. And I was making certain contributions concerning the role of religion, or the role that religion plays in damaging people, in damaging the prospects, the lives of people, and things like that. So, being my mentor, Dr. Sunday Adelaja, saw that there's a lot of depth in what I was talking about. That obviously I'd done a lot of research, a lot of background work had gone into it, and he told me, he specifically said to me that write a book on damage by religion. This is going to help a lot of people. So that is basically the background story behind it. So I thought, okay, this was just going to be a book. And normally when I write a book within 1 month, maximum within a month. I'm done with any book I'm writing. So I thought, okay, within 2 months, study, for a book for a month, and the second month write on it and things like that. But when I began to study on damaged by religion, to really, really put the materials together for a book, I began to make a lot of interesting discoveries. As a matter of fact, some of the people that love me, that love what I do, had volunteered to be part of my work, and I just could not go on with the book at that point. I knew I needed to do a lot of studying, and Damaged by Religion, interestingly now, will no longer just be a book. As a matter of fact, Damaged by Religion has a minimum of 5 movements inside of it. That is the minimum of 5 movements. Book is just one of them. So we are coming up with all kinds of things to let people become aware, especially the African people, to become aware of what religion really does. So, short question, long answer.
Well, long is always a perspective. I'm sure those who are listening to you were definitely, I cannot have enough yet. So we would like to know, for example, what are those 5 movements that are coming up from based on the basis of the idea of damage by religion?
Okay. Like I said, the book project is one of them, and that is the one I've announced to the world, really. So the other, there are a couple more than 4, I'm sure, but the other 4 that are on ground right now, they are just things I'm going to let out from the launch of the book. So once the book, I want the book to herald the coming of the other projects. The book itself is going to be like a movement, and then from the launch of the book, we begin to lay them out. So you can watch out for it. And if you're interested, you could check out our page, Damaged by Religion, on Facebook, and begin to see some of the interesting things that are going on. You will never know. You will never, ever know, how much damage religion is doing to the world, to our personal lives, to our families, to the nations. We just want to look at it in every aspect of it. Religion has invaded our systems, our way of life, our culture, our trade, our economy. Everything has been affected based on religion, based on, and basically religion deals with the mindset. So that is why it's a very powerful thing.
So for you to come up with such a phrase that you called damage by religion, I think it's quite audacious. You seem to be very confident in what you're saying. You're making a very bogus, a very big claim.
Yes.
And a lot of us would like to take you on that. Why would you say damage by religion? One, but before you answer that, before you could claim a damage, we want to understand, in your perspective, what is religion?
Oh, so let's begin to get into the art of the matter. And for some of our viewers who may not love so much of history, but I hope I can make this very interesting for you. Now, do you know that in the world today, we have 3 major religions? Of course, the largest religion in the world is Christianity, closely followed by Islam, and of course, Judaism. And you have Buddhism and the rest of them like that. Approximately, there are 4,200 religions in the world. You can imagine that. 4,200 minimum.
More religions than countries.
And more.
So, like Nigeria now can have about 1,000 of those.
So if you are interested, you can start your own religion. That is how easy it is to start a religion. Religion is more or less like a movement. And I'm going to explain to you basically. Let me start with Islam. Very interesting. I'm going to start with Islam because Islam, for me, is one of the most misunderstood religions in the world. One of the most misunderstood religions in the world is Islam.
Is it by outsiders or by people practicing it?
Both. Both by the people practicing it and both by the people. Interestingly, a lot of people that even practice Islam do not know about Islam or what it entails.
Okay.
And a lot of people that practice Christianity have no idea of what Christianity is about.
Okay.
A lot of people that are into Judaism have no idea what Judaism is about or how it started. And I'm going to give you, some brief history.
But maybe before we go into the history,
okay,
which I'm quite eager to learn about.
Yeah.
Can you just give us a definition of religion?
If you check the dictionary today, what religion would, how the dictionary will tell you, what the dictionary will tell you religion is a belief, is, your belief in a supernatural being, that is what the dictionary definition of religion is your faith in something. But that has nothing to do with religion. Having studied for this project ahead of me, which I suspect is going to be for the rest of my life, really. Religion is a superimposition of a culture on another culture. I'm going to define that and break it down in many ways. Religion is one culture trying to superimpose another culture. So in essence, let's say, for example, Victor is there, and let me say, give me, what is your best food? What do you love to eat most?
Pounded yam. If I say anything else, the people will disown me. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say Victor is here. He loves pounded yam. Excellent. Now, pounded yam is a culture. It's a cultural food, I believe.
Yeah.
It's something you love to eat. So let me pretend for a moment that let's say I'm Ukrainian, a black Ukrainian, and my favorite food, let me say, is what
Borscht.
now? Let's say borscht. Let's say my favorite food is borscht. Now, there's a way Victor could live. There's a way Victor could influence me to begin, though a Ukrainian, to take his pounded yam. One of the ways he could go about it is come with a gun, come with a knife, and say, look, it's either you take this or you die. Mm-hmm. So whatever makes you to superimpose your culture, your ideas, your mode of eating, your way of life, and all that on me is religion, has become religion. Mm. That is fundamentally different from leadership, because I'm quite passionate about leadership too. In fact, leadership led me into religion, into discussions of religion. Now, that is different from religion. Fundamentally, leadership is you're taking your pounded yam in a gracious, magnificent way, with so much love, with so much radiance, that I want to begin to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. But religion is the complete opposite, because religion is now, it works in a subtle way. With religion, now you are being forceful. With religion, you are being demanding. In fact, with religion, I have no choice. Mm. So that's why very closely with religion, you always have another term called slavery, because slavery cannot work without religion, and religion cannot go without slavery. So both of them are always in tandem. It's just like, what do you call it, like a bicycle, the front wheel and the back wheel. So everywhere you have religion, you've got to watch out for its brother, which is slavery. And everywhere you have slavery, you've got to watch. And as a matter of fact, if you read the history of colonization, you know, either Arab colonization or European colonization, religion was preceded it. Mm-hmm. So the earliest missionaries that we had in Africa, many of you are not aware of this, but history is there for you to confirm. The earliest missionaries that we had in Africa were only there because they were sent by the kings and queens of Europe to find new slave colonies. So they came in the pretext of the gospel, which of course some of these missionaries, we got to praise them for it. They were genuine. They wanted to, spread the gospel. They wanted to spread the knowledge of Jesus Christ. But the kings and queens of Europe understood what can happen. So they were smarter. And they went, so you would be amazed to know that even somebody like David Livingstone, a very prominent missionary in Africa, was used by Queen Victoria to discover new slave colonies. Interesting. There's so much to say. So religion goes with slavery. Slavery goes with religion. And I will be able to explain further what the superimposition of culture is. So that is why we have Africans today who are either Arabs or Europeans in their mindset. Basically. Why? Because the dominant invasion was through Arab invasion or European invasion. So if you were invaded by the Europeans, predominantly you become Christians. If you were invaded by Arabs, predominantly you become Muslims.
So basically, Dr. Success has defined religion, his own definition of religion as a superimposition
of culture.
On
ideas, yes.
But I align with him, because when you look at religion, it talks about belief in supernatural, but it goes again because there are no concrete definitions for religion, but the things you can always find hand in hand that is consistent with most of the definitions are beliefs, culture, and identity.
Identity, yeah.
When you also study how from contemporary and ancient history, you see how culture has been superimposed on people who accept a certain religion.
Yeah. Can I just add there that
yes, please.
One of the greatest damages by religion, which of course you are going to read again and again in my book, is that religion steals your own identity from you, because it's superimposition of culture. So whatever takes away your love of the pounded yam, based on belief or based on a foreign culture, is a damage to you by religion.
Even if you study the Bible from ancient history and you see Nebuchadnezzar and how he invaded Israel,
Yeah.
invaded Jerusalem,
Yeah.
brought those guys out.
Yeah.
One of the first things he did was change their name.
names. Yeah.
And maybe I'm Victor today.
They changed their names to the names.
To the name of their gods. So from I don't even know what their Hebrew name is.
The Hebrew name was gone. The Hebrew
Yeah.
name was gone.
But they became Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah.
So, but the basic thing I want to say here before you go on, sir,
Yeah.
is that we must be able to make the clear distinction between spirituality
Yeah.
and religiosity.
Yeah.
Spirituality is the essence of man, because man himself is a spirit, and so he always knows that he was created by someone,
Yeah.
and that there is a need for him to relate with that person. So there's always that space.
Inner desire.
There's always that space, that empty space,
Yeah.
for the Creator's signature in man. So that's why man is always looking for ways to fill in that empty space.
Yeah.
So that is why religion has always been a potent weapon. But however, spirituality is different from religion, because religion has always been man-made. It was men who sat down and brought together, a series of ideas and
Ideologies,
cultures
yeah.
and
Rules,
rules and
doctrines.
doctrines and everything to
Yeah.
make up religion.
Yeah.
But spirituality, on the other hand, is you seeking for the truth of who you are.
In God.
No, first who you are.
Yeah.
By the time you are now looking for who you are,
Yeah.
then you meet God.
Absolutely.
So when you meet God, you meet yourself for the first time.
That's true.
So in meeting yourself for the first time, you realize that if your nature is hung on who this person is,
Yeah.
then you keep seeking for him, and it's a very private matter. It's a very private journey. It needs no accompany.
Absolutely.
You don't need anyone to.
It's an individual.
It's an individual journey. So
Yeah.
when you find God now, and you keep looking for him, for me, the way I know to find God is through Christ. Do you understand my point? And I still on that, I don't know of any other way. If there is, I don't know.
Okay.
But the way I know is through Christ.
What you discovered.
What
for
I
yourself.
discovered for myself. So now, in relating with God, I need no set of rules. I just need the freedom of expression.
Okay.
And that is spirituality. To be able to relate with one's creator
Okay.
freely.
And can I quickly add that your proof of spirituality
Yeah.
is not religion.
No.
Your proof of spirituality, the proof that you know God is love.
Yes.
So either if you discover God you discover God through Christ. You said this is how I know that God is, through relationship with Christ.
Yes.
How I, as a neighbor, your neighbor, get to know that is not through
Christ
rituals or through Christ itself.
himself, yeah.
Or I'm sorry, himself. It is through your relationship with me.
Yeah.
Through your responses to me and how you relate to other people.
Yeah. So I agree with you, because, for instance, people may not know what you know,
Absolutely.
but they know what they see you do,
Absolutely.
what they see you react,
Yeah.
what they see you.
They discover
say.
God through you.
Yeah. So, and the best way to do that, to show your spirituality, is in your physicality. It's in your physicality, it's in how you relate, how have you become transformed.
Yeah.
However, I think a lot of people don't know this, and so what they do is that they follow the ordinances of one man who claimed to have been spiritually enlightened.
Yeah.
And that one sets for them standards
Absolutely.
and rules.
Absolutely.
Many times that are in line with his own personal preferences.
Absolutely.
So we now have a platform that is set that the personal preferences of a man can easily pass as the voice of God.
Absolutely.
And there is no one to question.
Absolutely.
And that's what religion does.
Man is always looking for God. Man is always looking for a leader. And these are the two things that make him susceptible to religion. Every man, I'm going to use a lot of examples through different world religions, and you are going to be amazed. When you begin to study behind the curtains of every religion, you'll be amazed at what you discover. Man always look for God. There's an inner desire, just like Victor said the other time. There's just that inner, you know that you're a divine being. There's something inside of you that wants a relationship with God. And then the other important thing is that man is always looking for a leader. So if, for example, I have a desire to know God, and you claim to know God,
Yeah.
then I am already susceptible to you, except to tell me the truth, that you are also a seeker. And that's what many religious leaders will not tell you. That's what no religion in the world is going to tell you. Because I don't care if it's the Pope, or I don't care if you are the Caliph. The truth is that every man is a seeker.
Yes.
And if religion will be truthful to you, they will tell you that, look, bro, I'm also a man lost, seeking for God, just like you. And that's why you have to seek for God yourself. So, I don't know if you have a question or you want us to go.
Yes, so let's just take some of the comments and greet some of the people before we continue.
Okay.
Okay, I think it's best we come from here. And we have Chinwe saying, hello, Vic and Success. Hello to you, Chinwe and Anaba. Comrade Philip is saying Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
It means that the new, I thought that was why we were talking about the new, that there's nothing new in the new.
Okay.
So it's an happy year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to damage religion with truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're about to get that started. And, okay, good. So we have Mele Cyril joined. Thank you. Okoko Chukude, thank you for joining. That's a doctor from the UK.
Oh, great.
Romanus Uka, Nkuji Zayana, thank you so much. Now you is saying religion is wicked.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Religion is not just wicked. I think religion is demonic.
Yeah, so Nayo, please get set to tell us why you think religion is wicked. Why it's Success here will be telling us why it's demonic. Yeah. Okay, so we have Eme Gunobi, Rebecca Anshila Sobi, thank you so much for joining. Okay, Romano Suka. Julie saying very eager to see the book cover that will depict the title.
You can watch out. Watch out.
Jocelyn Amaka Banjoko, thank you so much for joining. Yeah. And she's saying, Romano is saying Happy New Year to all of us. Okay, joining from Lagos. Femi Fakwa De, Elijah Lokwete. Okay, Chukwude is saying, interesting topic. Wisdom makes a man's face to shine. Now you're easy. It's like this person has something big. Religion is in trouble with you. Say religion and slavery is same.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are synonyms.
They are synonyms. Adiola Disu, thank you. He's saying hello, President and Dr. Success. Okay. Now you again saying a slave knows is a slave, but a religious person never knows.
That is very, 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 very wonderful comment by Nayo. And it's very true in many regards. Okay. A slave oftentimes, because of the physical body, knows that he's a slave. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times also, it gets to a level of slavery where a slave loses his identity completely, and he takes on the identity of his master. And that is what religion does to you. So religion strips you of your own identity and gives you the identity of itself. So you lose your identity completely. So that is why when you ask people, I think it's, well, the same way you ask somebody and say, are you a slave? And the person says, I'm a slave. It's the same way, it's the same thing when somebody says, I'm a Christian. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So if you have a slave that is so proud to say, I am a slave, it's exactly that same connotation when somebody says, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim. Because what he's telling you is he has lost his identity.
And you know, a scripture comes to mind as you say that. It says, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
His identity.
And interestingly, the soul of man
is his identity.
Is his identity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So does it mean that a lot of people who say, I am a Christian, have actually lost their soul?
It gets deeper than that. It gets deeper than that.
We will unravel over time. Okonkwo said, God never had religion in mind when he made heavens and earth.
There was no religion in Eden.
Yeah, I was asking, what was religion in
There was no religion in Eden.
Alpha Alfred, Christopher Olaoye, thank you. Julie says, so are you saying religion is a form of dictatorship?
Dictatorship is a form of religion.
Okay, Alpha Alfred
is a form of religion.
Kuyet Bongon, Ernest Obong, I know Joyce and greetings, brothers. Okay. Lisasi Asogba David, thank you so much. Comrade Philip is saying religion is a veil to truth to the truth about God.
Absolutely. Let me just say that religion gives you a false, religion makes you feel like you know God, but you do not know God. I personally believe, through my research and through my understanding, many of these things which you are going to bring out, that it is completely impossible for you to know God through the way of religion. And there are going to be so many reasons why I'm going to give you, so many facts I'm going to give you to back that statement up. It is completely impossible. If you know God through the way of Christianity, or through the way of any of this, or through the way of Islam, or through the way of Hinduism, or through the way of Buddhism, or Confucianism, any of these man-made religions, it is impossible. You have not known God.
Okay.
So
That's interesting. All right. So, blessing, Gift Amos saying, blessings, family, Mumi,
Blessings to
good
you
day,
too.
dear brothers. Good day to you too. All right. So, the last statement you made
Yeah.
strikes a chord, yeah? And I would like you to elaborate on that.
Okay.
What do you mean? You know, we have a very religious population in Nigeria, and they are not even denying it. Many times they are more Catholic than the Pope and more Caliph than the Muslim. So, do you mean these ones don't know God? Or justify the statement that if you know God by the way, you cannot know God by the way of religion?
If we truly know God, as we claim to know God, religion, the nation will not be in the state it is today.
Yeah.
In fact, the greatest proof that Nigeria does not know God, despite the fact that we have about 80 million Christians in Nigeria, the population of Nigeria is estimated between 180 and 200 million, you know, officially about 180 million, and 80 million of the Nigerian population are Christians. The proof, and of course about 50 million thereabout are Muslims. If the greatest proof that we have that we are only religious, but we do not know God, is the reality of state on ground. There is no way a nation will truly know God, and it will be like it is in Nigeria today. It's not possible. As a matter of fact, I did a statistics and I did a research. I put it out some time ago on my Facebook. Some of you saw it, and a lot of people were sharing it. Find out about the poorest countries in the world, of which, of course, you know Nigeria is one of them. Find out the poorest countries in the world. Find out also about the most religious countries in the world. And then draw the line. So you discover in the world today that the poorest countries are also the most religious countries. Amazing. So if truly religion leads to God, then why are we poor? If truly religion leads to God, why would we go out there and behead somebody? If truly religion leads you to God, why is there so much corruption? If truly religion belongs to God, why is Christianity today claims to be the religion of love. Islam today claims to be the religion of peace. So in a nation where you have predominantly the religion of love and the religion of peace, there is no love, neither is there peace. So I think, for me personally, I think it's just more of a common sense calculation. I think it's more of a deduction. I think it's more of inference. I think it's more of, just using the brain a little bit. And then you understand the damage that one of the greatest damages that can be done to, and I'm going to tell you economically how these things come to be. I'm going to tell you why. Because one of the things that religion does to you, if I have to give you one of the proofs right now, is that religion makes you dependent. So technically, if you have a country that is religious, a religious country is also a dependent country. Because the identity of the people has actually been stolen. The people cannot produce things for themselves. The people have to wait on their colonizers, basically. You understand that? So they have to do most things through their colonizers. That is why today, even the African Union building in Ethiopia was built for the whole of African countries by China. We could not even build our own African Union building. Can you imagine that? So these are the things. It makes you a dependent country. It makes you less of a thinker. It makes you, one of the greatest damages it also does is that you begin to look for the life hereafter. They paint the picture. Every religion will give you the promise of heaven. Disdain the earth, look forward to heaven. So it doesn't matter how poor you are on head. It doesn't matter the state of things. It doesn't matter if they are killing your people. It doesn't matter if the nation is in chaos. You are just thinking, oh, one day I'm going to an Eldorado. I'm going to a utopia. I'm going to heaven. So you begin to, how do you say it? When somebody's living in denial, basically, you begin to live in denial. You are delusion. That is the word. You begin to live in delusion. You begin to live in denial. You are waiting for a better tomorrow. Karl Marx made it very simple. He said religion is the opium of the masses. Basically, you are going through a lot of pain, but you are waiting for a better tomorrow. And that is why a lot of religious countries are poor, because it makes sense to you when you are living in poverty and your pastor comes to tell you that heaven awaits you, than when you are in a developed nation, where you have to face reality and make necessary provisions for life.
Wow. So, but I have a very interesting question for you, and I think it's also been asked by Philip Omotayo Ojebode.
Yes.
He's saying you have mentioned all supposed religions in the world.
Yeah.
So which way do you now mean man may know God? That's one. That's one. But before you answer that,
okay.
Do you believe in God? One.
Okay.
Two. How did you get to believe in God? Then that comes to that is in line with the question asked by Philip Omotayo.
Okay. So I should rather answer it as a personal question.
Yeah, a personal question. So we want to know that before you start telling us damaged by religion.
By religion, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of us want to know. I mean, do you believe in God?
Okay.
So, and how did you get to know God? So when you are able to tell us that, then we can listen to every other thing you have to say about religion.
Absolutely.
Because some of us, we don't mind we don't even mind losing our religion.
Okay.
But
what do you lose it for?
We don't want to risk losing our God.
Thank you so much for that question. Absolutely. A little bit of my history. I was born and raised in Christianity. Absolutely. That is all I knew in my life. I knew the patterns and the ways. I was more of like the boy Samuel serving in the temple who knew everything about the organogram of the temple. I knew everything about, if I can't mentally the number of messages I preached in my life, probably more than 3,000 already. Started fellowships, done everything. But then it comes to a point in life when your heart is crying out for more. When if you are going to be honest with yourself, if you are truly a seeker, if you are truly what is called a believer is not a religious person. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
A believer is also, these are some of the things you're going to find out in my book, Damaged by Religion. It's totally their word apart. It's totally different. So I discovered that it is not just enough for you to know all the things that your religion is about. It's important for you to know what life is about. It's important for you to discover God, truly, And I'm saying to every viewer right now that the only satiety, the only one that can fulfill your taste for God is God himself. So that was absolutely, I discovered that there were a lot of loopholes in religion. Religion was feeding me, but religion wasn't giving me what I needed, and I wanted more. And if you are going to be honest with yourself, then you will become a desperate seeker as I became. So absolutely, I believe in God. To answer your question, I believe absolutely in God. And I found my way to God through the way of personal searching, through the way of personal search, through the way of personal research. And basically, when I discovered God, I discovered I had been around me all the while. Because at the end of the day, you discover that God has no religion. God is love. So whatever makes Victor here to love me, whatever makes Victor here to do to me as he would have done to God, that actually is God expressing himself to me. So we discover every day we discover God every day through love. We discover, and that's why the Bible says, I'm going to be quoting a lot from the Bible, from the Quran, from so many of these holy books. I've been doing a lot of stuff that I told you. That the Bible says that, how can you say that you love God who you do not see? When you do not love your brother, who you do see. That is God telling us about love. the Bible also says that the pure and undiluted religion before God is this, that you take care of the widows and the orphans and you remain unspotted from the world. That basically is religion. That is God telling you that it is His love. It is an element of, and across, I'm going to go through a lot of deep history, like I said before with us, very interesting. You're going to find out a lot of things from these sessions that you will discover that the basic element of everything through all of the world, the people that this world religions try to pattern after, of course, which they have nothing in relation with. Either you're talking of Muhammad, or you're talking of Jesus Christ, or you're talking of Buddha, or the core concept of Hinduism, and Judaism looks up to Father Abraham, and all of that. The core thing you find out in all of them is love. As a matter of fact, these people were able to influence millions of people just because of love. So people followed them in their generation. One, because they were seekers, and two, when they discovered God, they became embodiment of love. And that is why you have a lot of people who believe in them.
So, to be very controversial now,
okay,
and to put you
on the spot. Yeah. Could you move closer? Maybe that could help you.
Yeah.
You're trying to brood about it.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I want to put you on the spot, but I also.
No, you could put me on the spot. I love being.
So. The question is now you've said you've discovered God.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said love.
Absolutely.
Love is, let's call it a character trait. I mean, things you can see.
Absolutely.
But before you can discover love, there must be a channel through which you discover that love. That was a pointer.
Yeah.
For Christians, they will call that person Christ.
Okay.
For Muslims, they will call him Muhammad.
Okay.
For Buddhists, they say Buddha.
Yeah.
And they begin to talk about so many things.
Absolutely.
So, who is yours, or what is yours?
Okay, great question. That is also trying to put me on the spot. And when we begin to, there are certain things I would have loved to say before answering that question specifically. But let me just go ahead and take on the question. The truth of the matter is that universally we believe that God is one. I think most religions in the world, maybe exception of Hinduism, perhaps, I think exception of Hinduism, actually believe in the supreme being, in the ultimate power of God. That is the general belief. We have, of course, what is called the monotheistic religions. That is basically
polytheistic.
We have monotheistic. we have some polytheistic religions, but we have the core monotheistic religions. We have Christianity, we have Islam, and we have Judaism. If you want to insult a Muslim, it's for you to tell him that Muhammad is God, or for you to tell him that God is true.
But let's make it more personal about it.
Okay, now,
so we can
I'm going to, so, and then if also for Christians, I strongly believe that Jesus was God in the flesh, who came to exhibit the way of God to man. I don't know if you understand. So, the fundamental things, I've gone through the Quran severally. The fundamental things in the Quran are also the fundamental things in the Bible. Certain differences, certain things. As a matter of fact, you may not know, but Muhammad himself believed in the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. Muhammad himself believed in the, sinless life of Jesus Christ. Muhammad himself believed. The only thing that Muhammad does not believe, which of course separates, is the fundamental thing that separates Christians and Islam, Christianity and Islam, basically, because Islam itself means submission to the will of God. So the fundamental thing that Muhammad didn't believe was the fact that Jesus died. And what for him it was more out of a respect that such a supernatural man could not have been killed by men. You understand? But every other thing, basically, he believed, of course, that he was an exceptional. Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus Christ. So for me, the way I believe that Christ came to the world to show us the way of God.
and that Christ himself is God and that God is one. I don't know if I answered that.
Yeah.
God is one. Christ that came into the flesh was exhibiting the life of Christ. Exhibiting the life of God to man. How to treat your neighbor. How to treat your government. How to respond to your government. Okay. And we're also going to look at some of those basic tenets, And so for me, if you ask me, what do I believe? I believe in God. And I believe that God is love. And I believe that God came to the world to show us example, the life of God in the flesh through Jesus Christ. That's what I believe.
All right. So at what point did you think that men started developing religion? And let's begin to go into how it has affected them.
Wow. Thank you so much. Let me start with Islam, for example. Like I said before, Islam is one of the most misunderstood religion in the world. As a matter of fact, I dare anybody that is listening to us after this broadcast, without sentiment, to go study on the life of Prophet Muhammad. And you'll find out that Prophet Muhammad was one of the most phenomenal men that ever lived. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you're without sentiment, it is impossible, I dare you, Victor, without sentiment, to read up on the life of Prophet Muhammad. It is impossible for anybody to read on the life of Muhammad and not love the man. Same way, I dare any Muslim that is listening to us to go pick up on the life of Jesus Christ as an example, as an individual. It is impossible for you without sentiment to read up on the life of Jesus Christ and not love the man. And perhaps that was why Mahatma Gandhi said, I love your Christ, but I do not love your Christians.
No, but your Christians.
But your Christians are so unlike unlike Christ, basically. So, Prophet Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus Christ. He was born in a city called Mecca. In Mecca, at that time, there were thousands and thousands of, maybe not thousands, but several gods. I believe in their hundreds of gods. People were serving. And then there was the Kaaba. The Kaaba was that black temple where they believe that temple, they actually believe was built by Abraham. Some say claim Adam, some claim Abraham, but they believe that at least Abraham had built. And that was the one they believe is for the supreme being. So Muhammad lived when he was born, he lost his parents at a very early age. After he lost his parents, he was raised by his uncle, just basic, And after he was raised by his uncle, he joined the business of caravan trading, traveling from one place to the other, all around the world. So, of course, he was an intelligent person. He was called Al-Amin, which means the honest one, extremely honest person, very good man, married a woman called Khadija, who was a trader. She was 15 years older than him. We have to always discuss the origin of religion in the concept or in the context of its environment, where it originated from. Okay. One of the greatest evil that any of us can do is to try to read the Bible without the context of the Roman Empire. Okay. One of the greatest damages you can do to the Quran is to try to read the Quran without the context of Palestine, of the Arab nation, of the Arabian world. So basically, Muhammad, after marriage and all that, every year there was always a festival around the Kaaba where everyone would come to Mecca to worship their gods and everything, and some who believe in the Kaaba will worship and all those kind of stuff. So it was a good business. Mecca was a good business empire. Imagine a lot of people coming yearly for what do you call that? That would sound like tourism today, But then, Muhammad was a man given to meditation, just like every other man seeking. He was wanting to know God. So he would oftentimes leave all of these celebrations because at that time, it was very noisy, a lot of people traveling in and all that. So he would always go to caves, to mountains, to go meditate, to go pray. He was seeking for something that the people had, basically. And, in one of those meditations, he claimed, I'm always going to use the word claim, either I'm talking about it, because,
you were not there.
I was not there, and I'm not religious, so I don't lay claim on what has not happened to me. So he claimed that he had his divine supernatural revelation. And what was all of these revelations about? Principles of brotherhood, principles of love, principles of justice, principles of the end of age, principles of, all those stuff. And then he came down from these revelations and he began to tell the people of Mecca, God is one. That was his core belief. That is the word Islam. So let us submit to the will of this one God. Of course, you have to understand that he had widely traveled. He had met Christianity, a lot of Christians. He had met Judaism. He had met, so he had a core concept of the oneness of God. So he wanted, but his message was bad market for Mecca. Because imagine having 100 gods in a city and then you want 99 of them to go and everybody's not going to come to worship the Kaaba. Yeah. So it was bad market. He said, look, there's oneness of God, and the people persecuted him very, very voraciously. As a matter of fact, in 2 years, he was able to raise just about 150 disciples. And even those disciples, they became so persecuted so fiercely that they had to run away from Mecca to Ethiopia. And guess who received them in Ethiopia? Christians. Christians received Muslims that fled from Mecca to Ethiopia, in Ethiopia. Why? Because the Christians in Ethiopia got to know that these people believe in the oneness of God. That's just fundamental. Think about that. Read about that. Then, when the persecution increased and this man continued with his message of peace, with his message of love, with his message of brotherhood, his message got to another city called Medina. Medina was, of course, another Arab country where there was a lot of fighting, at that time, of course, even to today, the Arab nation is very chaotic, a lot of fighting. So they invited Al-Amin Muhammad, the man who believes in love, in justice, in brotherhood. They invited him, please come meditate, come be our leader. They actually invited him, come be our leader, come lead us, because they believe in it. And he was one of the most, as a matter of fact, after this book, I'm writing another book called Teach Like Jesus, Live Like Muhammad. Because Muhammad, reading up his life, reading up his story, following closely on him, is one of the most phenomenal leaders ever in the world, in the history of the world. So he was brought to Medina and he displayed exemplary leadership in Medina. He was able to unite different tribes that had been at war for many, many years. He was able to unite them. He was able to bring them together in love, in brotherhood and unity. And guess who were the people, the citizens of Medina at that time? Very few of them were Muslims. Lot of them were Judeans because they are dominantly Jews. Lot of them were Christians, and a lot of them were pagans. So imagine Muhammad leading a community of Muslims, of Christians, of Judeans, and of pagans. So that was the environment. He was able to lead them, and his principles of love, his principles of brotherhood, his principles of justice made Medina a very, very, very developed country within a short time. So his fame continued to spread because it was exemplary life of love, his exemplary life of leadership, his exemplary life of brotherhood, his exemplary life of justice. He created the earliest form of constitution in the world. And it's called the Constitution of Medina, which of course is the constitution of brotherhood, how people live together. Can you imagine that today we have a lot of Islamic nations that do not want to live with any other religion? But that wasn't Muhammad. If you want to question any Muslim, any person who professes to be Muslim and who is, do you call them extremists? All right? People are extremists. People do not want to dwell together with other people. Ask about them. Or ask from them and tell them that the Medina that Prophet Muhammad was leading, was it just for Muslims? Of course no. Muhammad was leading over all of this, and his life of love and his life of leadership is like, as a matter of fact, he displayed so much servant leadership that the people loved him. And it was his life of love and leadership that actually made many people to believe in his message, not in him. Because he claims he is not God, he's human like every other person. He constantly tells the people that he had his own flaws, he had his own mistakes, So people loved him as a brother. In fact, his mosque, the mosque he built was a very small one in which he would always sit and settle disputes, love the people, care for the people. People were welcome to pray with him, whatever thing they want to do around him. The first mosque he built, he needed a crier to call people for prayer. And guess who was his crier, the crier he chose? he chose a former black slave, which was very, very symbolic because he believed in brotherhood. He believed that people should, we are all equals. You know that kind of understanding. Yeah. So that was basically, I'm telling you a little about the man. He was a seeker. He never created, he was creating a kingdom, so to speak. Let me use the word kingdom, of brotherhood, of love, of justice, of peace. And that was what he did till he died. The problem came when Prophet Muhammad died. Because he had two close followers. One was called Ali, and the other was called Abu Bakr. There was a lot of contention about who was going to succeed him. Yeah. And that is why we have two major factions of Islam till today.
Sunni.
The Sunni and the Shias. The Shias believe that Ali, who was, what do you call him? Married Muhammad's daughter. In-law, son-in-law, was supposed to. So that is basically what the Shias believe. That he was the legal one after Muhammad. Whereas the Sunnis believe that Abu Bakr, who Muhammad marries his own daughter, more like a father-in-law, was the legal one. So there was that controversy, there was that battle, but eventually Abu Bakr led or took over after Prophet Muhammad. And for me, I've told certain people, and I'm saying it again, and you find it in my book, I think it's one of the worst crises that ever hit the world. And I'm going to explain. Of course, many people may not readily agree with that. But what did Abu Bakr do after the death of Prophet Muhammad? It then began the creation of Islam, which had hitherto been submission to the will of God, love, brotherhood, a kingdom where peace reigns. It created what was called the caliphate. So the caliphate was no longer submission to God, the will of God. It now became what was known as the Arab invasion. So it meant now that either by gun or by sword, you have to take the Arab culture and wearing the cloak of Islam. I don't know if you get it.
Yeah.
So you have what is the main thing is Arab culture. Eat like Arabs, dress like Arabs, do everything like Arabs, and then it only had the garments of Islam. And this man was a fierce warrior. He was a very, very strategic fighter, and he invaded the world. He took over the whole of Mesopotamia, came to Africa, it was just spreading like wildfire. So everywhere the concept of Abu Bakr, and of course, like the four caliphs after him, went, it was spreading. So what we were now having was invasion of the Arab culture. Mm-hmm. It was not invasion of Muhammad's idea. Mm-hmm. So you had what was called the caliphate, that is spread of the caliphate. In Nigeria today, we have what is called caliphate.
So not necessarily the spread of the knowledge of God.
It was no longer about the spread of the knowledge of God.
That even Muhammad
believed that Muhammad was a seeker.
Okay.
In fact, as a matter of fact, how you will know this, after Abu Bakr took over after Muhammad and he died. The four caliphs immediately after him and several other, I think there was a break, but several of the caliphs, Caliph now became the leader of the Muslim nation. Mm-hmm. They call him Muslim, but it's Arab culture, really. Like they were all brutally killed. So it was a battle of supremacy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it was very fierce. They were killing each other. As a matter of fact, at least 2 sons were killed in what is today called Iraq. And they have a shrine for them there. They were brutally murdered. As a matter of fact, his family members. So it was more political than religious.
Than spiritual.
Than spiritual, so to speak. So, and that is basically what you have religion. So everywhere you have a culture mixed together with some elements of spirituality, so to speak, which is false spirituality anyway, because it's not the seeking of God, it's not the knowledge of God. You have what is called religion.
Wow, that's quite incisive.
I don't know if I was able to make it a bit.
I think quite a lot of people must have been fascinated with the history of what you're bringing on. But you've just brought about the Islamic one.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
But I think because of time,
Do I need to touch
what
on
we'll do,
Christianity?
what we'll do is we will start from Christianity maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll try to come on at the same time tomorrow, and we'll continue from the history, so that he can talk about Christianity and how what we have now is also the Middle East culture.
So
Judaism.
what we call Christianity today has nothing to do with Christ. I wrote on my Facebook, if you want to be sure about this, follow us tomorrow, like he said. What you have today called Christianity is Roman Empire plus Judaism.
By Constantine.
By Constantine.
So Christianity ended the day it was legalized.
Yeah.
The day Christianity was pronounced
legalized.
legal, that was the beginning of the end
Yeah.
of real. However, that does not mean that there are no people
Who are seekers.
who are seekers of God.
But the
and
genuine
understand.
seekers, one of the things I found interesting is that the genuine seekers do not identify or never want to have anything to do with religion. Because for you to be involved in religion, you have to suppress another man's will. And the suppression of another man's will is totally against everything that God stands for. God will never violate any man's will. But for you to have religion, there can never be religion without violation of another man's will.
So, from the brief history of Islam that Success has narrated, and where we are going to is to actually be able to depict how religion has, in fact, damaged a lot of people, damaged systems, damaged institutions, damaged nations. And but today he was able to talk about the origin of Islam and the fact that the man who started Islam himself was not looking forward to starting a religion.
Absolutely not.
He was actually a man who was seeking God and
Encouraged people to seek God.
yeah, and also was building a kingdom, was leading a kingdom.
Yeah, and it was please, I need to also emphasize on that Muhammad was not just, because you cannot read the Quran without the context in which it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Muhammad was not just a seeker of God. That is the most important thing about him. But he was a political leader, he was a businessman, and he was a military strategist. So because they were constantly at war,
That was an aggressive culture.
it was the Arab culture was a very, very aggressive culture.
It still is.
Yeah, and of course, it still is. Those of us that have been with if you've been with Arabs, you understand. So, which is a very, very aggressive culture, basically. So, the man, you have to understand the context in which he lived his life. So, I've heard a lot of people say things like, in the Quran, there are a lot of violent verses where it encourage people to kill and all that. You have to understand, when the man was talking to his soldiers, encouraging people to go to war, it was difficult for Muhammad to raise a soldier of 3,000 people when his enemies were conveniently raising 10,000 soldiers. So he used a lot of, he was a leader, basically, and he mobilized his people to go to war. As a matter of fact,
Using strategies.
From
What you may now know as art of war.
art of war, basically.
But anyway, so the base of this has nothing to do with our core belief in the fact that we know God. And I'm saying this not because I'm saying this so that as you are following us, I want you to know that we will be dissecting things.
Yeah.
Literally not from the light in which you've seen them. So we will beg you to be patient, don't be peripheral. We know you are a Christian, we know you love God, we know you love Jesus. We love Jesus too. I love Christ. I know Christ. I relate with Christ. But what we are trying to do is we want to be able to help you separate your relationship
With God.
from status that religion has brought. To be able to do that, we need to go back into how did this religion come about. We need to understand what was the historical context.
Absolutely.
We need to understand what was happening in those times. We need to understand, for example, within the Jewish settings, what was happening. Why was it that Jesus came to save the world but never traveled out of the Israeli map as of that time? You know, apart from going to Egypt and coming back, you know, I mean, why was his ministry within that within that, we need to ask questions about traditions and cultures. We need to go back into history. So many of these things you may not know, many of them may not sit down well with you, but you know what? Just stay with us. Let's dissect it from beginning to the end. You know what's happening? In fact, I have the discussion we're having now. Some of it I know, some of it I don't, and so this is quite unscripted. I'm going to ask him questions where I think he needs to be challenged. And I believe he's going to challenge me to where he thinks I need to be challenged. Yeah. However, don't be peripheral in the approach to this. Yes, it's true you know God. Still hold on to your God, hold on to what you believe in.
Be a seeker.
But just listen. And maybe at the end of the day, you'll be able to differentiate. And you'll be able to appreciate what you believe. Or you'll be able to say, oh, no. I have only been within the statutes of European
culture.
You understand? For example, what would be the essence of my tie?
In the hot sun.
In everything.
Yeah.
So I will be able to know why is it that when I wear a jalabia, someone will tell me that the wrath of God is going to fall on me. Because I chose to align with a certain culture at a particular time.
Absolutely.
So please stay with us. Tomorrow we'll be back.
And the discussions also, a lot of discussions. Maybe people we could spare a few minutes for people to ask us questions.
No, I think we can do that tomorrow.
Okay.
We can do that, and we'll try to organize a way where you can call. Not even just send your question, but maybe we have a segment to call in.
Absolutely.
So, but today being the first day, thank you so much. And he has been able to define religion as
the superimposition of one culture
on another.
Usually it uses the guise or the deception or the cloak of spirituality, but it has nothing to do with God. It's purely political, it's purely cultural.
And I want you to know that manipulation does not occur without a desire for something. The only reason why you can be manipulated is because you want something and you are given a wrong information about that same thing you want. And the basic idea is that man was created by a God, a divine being, a supernatural, intelligent being, and there is a seal of that being on man, and that space is empty. So man is always looking to get that place filled.
Absolutely.
And religion, having understood that, always puts man in deception and always manipulates man. So on a note to end this, I want to end it with the quote by Karl Marx, which says, "Religion is the opium of the people."
Because it blocks the neurotransmitters in their brain.
Yeah. I think it wasn't incorrect.
It was very correct.
But I think it was incomplete.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he only told them, the people that religion is an opium, but he did not introduce the people to what is the cure.
Absolutely. And that is one of the most important things about the book Damaged by Religion. Once you understand that this is not what God wants from you, once you understand that you have only been manipulated, it's very easy to manipulate people through religion, through fear, through all sorts of promises and things like that. You'll be able to discover basically, the basic elements of what being a seeker is. It's absolutely about the kingdom of God, about brotherhood, about love, about justice. The Bible says the kingdom of God is righteousness, is peace, is joy in the Holy Ghost. That is all. Nothing at all with offerings, nothing at all with Sharia, nothing at all with Nirvana, nothing at all with, all sorts of things that have been brought in the name of religion. Righteousness, peace, joy in the Holy Ghost. That is just all. Be good to somebody. Love somebody.
All right. So thank you so much for your time today. I guess we'll continue tomorrow by 3 p.m. Same time, 3 p.m. And we'll see how far we can go with that. But today we do not want to take so much of your time. So at least you are introduced to what we are doing. Yeah. And that's Damaged by Religion, how religion damages people, nations and people. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much. I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.